Hi, my name is Lucy, and I am going to be sharing with you my disappointing experience um, from the from my Google Docs. So the parts that are highlighted are the parts from the Right Steps Right About program. So sorry. So here we go. On December 13th, 2014, my mom pulled me close on the couch after dinner. Pulled me on the couch after dinner and held me close. I was confused because I was only 6 years old at the time. I asked my mom, "What's wrong?" So all the purple highlights, the hang on. So the purple is the dialogue. Dialogue. So what's wrong? So there was a whole lesson on dialogue and how to use it properly and when to use it. And like what transition words to use after it. So like if it's a question, you use asked, said, replied, or something. So it was only then when I realized that her cheeks were wet. She had a shaky voice and said, "Grandma just called me," and she trailed off a little. So here's another example of dialogue because it's highlighted in purple. She trailed off a little before finishing the sentence with, "She called to tell me that Grandpa was taking a nap, and he didn't wake up." She looked away like she was ashamed of what happened. It took a little bit of time for that sentence to register in my brain before I started bawling my eyes out. So there was also a lesson on metaphor. So the metaphor thing is like this is a metaphor, bawling my eyes out. I didn't actually do that, but I didn't say I was bawling my eyes out like something. So I felt like that was a good example um, of a metaphor. I could feel the wet tears falling down my face, and the salt was burning my tongue. So that was also something that I should have highlighted. I couldn't do it in like maybe in orange. Because there was sensory details for one of them, and I feel like that was that's a sensory detail. So I could feel the wet tears falling down my face, and the salt was burning my tongue. That's a sensory detail because you can imagine the tears falling down my cheeks, and the salt was burning my tongue because it was because my mouth was open. I was crying so hard. But I didn't care. That was one, and always will be one, of the worst days of my life. So this is also one. Let me just see. Okay, so this is highlighted. So the blue is similes and metaphors. Okay. And then the orange is sensory details. Um, and then the green is making sentences. Wait, no, it's commas and conjunctions. Because there was also a lesson on that. And so I'm going to do that here because I'm slowing down my piece by doing that. So I feel like that was good. And then my stepdad came into our little ball and also started to cry. I had never seen him cry before, but I understood. So I'm also going to highlight that in green because it is another example of commas and conjunctions. Now yellow is the yellow is slowing down sentences, which is like slowing short sentences. The short sentences to slow down. Should be speed up. Up. Okay. And it says, I had never seen him cry before, but I understood. This was serious. I didn't get to say goodbye. Nobody did, except for Grandma. Grandma. When I started, except for Grandma. Grandma. When I thought about it, I started to cry harder. Poor Grandma. I love her dearly and didn't want her to be alone, but there was nothing I could do. So, this is another example of commas and conjunctions. I thought some more. I was useless, only 6 years old, and lonely. So, this is another example of the commas and conjunctions. And then I was useless is kind of slowing it down, which is yellow. So I'm going to highlight that. So here's a start of a new paragraph. You have to tab it. I have another metaphor. It's my soft black couch swallowed me, and I felt like I was being wrapped in the softest blanket in the world. So that is another metaphor, as it says up here. The blue is similes and metaphors. The purple is dialogue. The orange. So my piece would be very boring without all the things that I've highlighted, and that is one of the reasons why I highlighted them, to show my proof that my writing was improved. I felt like I was being wrapped in the softest blanket in the world. We sobbed and sobbed and sobbed until our eyes were dry. I feel like that's another metaphor. I felt like I had cried a river. That's another metaphor because you can't actually cry a river. That's just a metaphorical term. Which is not personification. It is hang on. I don't remember what the word is called, but I just don't remember actually. Dialogue. What is the word for when you have a sound in your writing? I think I don't remember what it is. I thought it started with, hang on. Yeah. What's the word when you have sound in your writing? Not personification. What? No. I don't remember, but I will do it later. But okay, that's dialogue. I just wanted to cuddle with my mom, and it felt like she read my mind. Then she whispered in my ear, "Why don't we stay here a while?" I nuzzled in, and she understood. Then I poked her, and she put her ear by my mouth, and I whispered, "I love you, Mommy." She whispered back, "I love you too, my girl. I love you too." We were sitting on the couch until bedtime, and I brushed my teeth. I was so tired. As soon as I laid down on my pillow, it felt like I fell asleep almost instantly. I was so relieved the day was over. I did not ever want to wake up and face the reality. He was gone forever. So the color for sentences slowing down is yellow. Johnson, this is commas and conditions. So um, I feel like I pursued what I needed to pursue with my writing as far as like voice, and I cannot think. Sean. So um, you know when you have like this word like what is that? It's not personification, but what is it called?
Is your video going right now? Yeah. I mean, you can just call it I guess. But
Yeah, I really don't know. So, and I'm just gonna review some of my other piece, which is called A Million Things. I have a lot of stuff in here. I didn't highlight anything because this is in progress, but I will read this to you really quick because this chapter is called Dinner. It's about kind of the same thing. This is what it was inspired on. So after Bucky's, Annalise went home and we had dinner. Aldi pizza. Yum. This is my favorite kind of pizza. My mom puts garlic salt and oregano on it. So delicious. I wanted Annalise to stay over, but her mom wanted her to come home. Anyways, when we sat down for dinner, it felt like there was an awkward vibe. My parents were a little shifty and my brothers were silent. In my dining room, it was dead silent. Were they hiding something from me? Was I in trouble? I had not the slightest clue what was going on. Then I noticed that my mom's cheeks were wet, as were my stepdad's. He never cries. This must be something big. We eat slowly and silently still. I can't stand it anymore. I finally asked after what seems like forever, what's going on? What happened? My mom hesitates before she says Grandpa passed away today. And you were out with Annalise. We didn't tell you right away because we were so happy and I cut her off. There should be no excuse for you not to tell me right away, Mom. Grandpa was my best friend. He understood my condition, and was always there for me. We talked about everything. He was the glue that held me together. If it wasn't for him, I would have totally lost it. She looked shocked, like I had just punched her in the face or something. Honestly, I didn't care. I was so mad at her for not telling me. So, oops, sorry. That was my disappointing experience and my million things. I hope you learned a lot today about my writing. Thank you for watching.